Hello folks and welcome back to Ruthless Metal. In today's video we're going to rank the discography of Bay Area thrashers Vio-Lence. And this video is going to be on the shorter side since they've only released 3 full-length albums so far. And a few months ago they released the EP Let the World Burn. So hopefully there's plans for them to do a new album someday in the future. Anyhow, now it's time for us to jump straight into today's video. The worst Vio-Lence album is Nothing to Gain from 1993, and this was their final full-length album. By 1993, thrash was more or less a thing of the past, and the alternative metal trend had affected even a band like Vio-Lence. When this album came out, Vio-Lence guitarist Robb Flynn had already started a little side project called Machine Head, that later would of course become his main project. And I personally never really got into this album, so I can't say that my views of this album has changed upon revisiting it. This album is more in the mid-tempo style, kinda similar to the direction that Exodus took on Force of Habit or Death Angel took on Act 3. Vio-Lence popularity took a turn for the worse with the new decade, so it wasn't a surprise that they decided to fold after this record came out. Especially when Robb Flynn's new band Machine Head were getting more and more attention. The song Virtues of Vice is kinda cool, but overall this album was a disappointment. It's also their worst produced record. It almost sounds like a demo at times. And I think that this album is way weaker than the other 2 albums in their discography. Next. In second place we have Oppressing the Masses that came out in 1990. And this album is faster and way thrashier than Nothing to Gain that we just talked about. Songs like I Profit, Officer Nice and World in a World are classic Vio-Lence tracks that all thrash metal fans should be familiar with. They recorded a music video for World in a World by the way, so check that one out if you haven't. Oppressing the Masses is just fast and unrelenting. It's really everything that you want from a thrash record. Great and varied playing, yet very fast and aggressive. Sean Killian's vocals are a bit on the nasal and punky side of things, and some people might need some time to get used to his vocals, but I just love his style. He really brings the aggressive vocals that an aggressive album like this needs. And there is a bit of that powerful backing hockey choir style vocals on this record. I think that their debut album is a bit more chaotic and violent, but this is still one of the most powerful records to come out of the Bay Area. Next. The number 1 Vio-Lence record is of course Eternal Nightmare that came out in 1988. And this album is just ridiculously good. Trust me, this record beats anything that Slayer, Testament or Dark Angel ever put out. This is a masterpiece through and through, and one of the absolute greatest metal albums of all time. It's 35 minutes long and it contains 7 tracks, and all of them are fast and energetic. Their speed and aggressive take no prisoners approach made pretty much every other thrash band look like choir boys when this album came out. Eternal Nightmare, Serial Killer, Phobophobia, Calling in the Corner, TDS, Bodies on Bodies and Kill on Command are all remarkable songs. There's just a ton of fast and crunchy riffs here, and a vocalist that sounds like a complete psycho. Drummer Per Strickland is also without a doubt one of the most underrated drummers in the genre. He is just a beast, so I think that fans of bands like Exodus, Testament, Overkill and Nuclear Assault surely needs an album like this in their life. And Dean Dell's bass work and the guitar duo of Demmel and Flynn also brings their A-game here. People often talk about Rain in Blood and Rust in Peace and albums like that, but those need to step aside for a moment, because Eternal Nightmare should be mentioned with the same respect. Personally, I return more often to this record than those, so that must mean something, I think. And this album is near perfect. I wouldn't have changed anything about it. Great playing, a solid production, the iconic artwork, this album has it all. And if you're somehow unfamiliar with this record, do yourself a favor and pause the video and listen to it right now, because this album might just be the greatest thrash metal record ever recorded. It should at least be in the discussions for it. And I don't rank EPs in this series, but their Torture Tactics EP is a pretty good one. And their new EP, Let the Word Burn, sounded alright. It features former Overkill guitarist Bobby Gustafson, so it's worth checking out for that reason alone. And I still need to listen to the new EP a bit more though. I also wanna recommend the documentary Blood and Dirt that came out in 2006. It's one of my absolute favorite thrash metal documentaries, and it's uploaded to YouTube, so it's worth investigating if you're curious about the band. And now it's time for us to check out my rank. And Vio-Lence was an easy band for me to rank since they've only put out 3 full-length albums, and there is a quality gap between those albums. The first 2 are great, but the debut is near perfect. And it was also sad to see the decline of Vio-Lence. Sure, Nothing to Gain was a step down, and maybe these guys came onto the scene a bit too late to be able to build that momentum over several records. Plus, I couldn't understand why Robb Flynn and later Phil Demmel wanted to play nu metal with the guys in Machine Head instead of continuing on with Vio-Lence. It's just one of life's big mysteries, because Vio-Lence to me is the epitome of thrash metal, while Machine Head to me was just another Pantera clone. But the trends were changing, so I guess that they decided to disband, simply because nobody was interested in thrash metal by 1994. I think that Vio-Lence never fully got the credit they deserved. Maybe because they haven't been as active as Exodus, Death Angel or Testament since the 2000s or so. So that can be a reason why these guys are a bit forgotten in comparison to those bands. But feel free to share your thoughts on Vio-Lence down below, and how would you rank their albums? Let me know. And don't forget to hit that like button, leave a comment, and subscribe to the channel if you're new. I also have a new website, the Ruthless Metal blog, where I've interviewed Vio-Lence guitarist Phil Demmel. The interview is 20 years old now, but hey, I have some newer stuff on there as well. And if you want to support my work, then there's always the option to become a Patreon. Your support really goes a long way. So I do want to give a shout out to all my Patreon supporters, so thank you guys for all your support. And you can always grab a shirt at the Ruthless Metal store. And I'm also on Facebook, Instagram and Spotify, and you can find all those links listed down below. And let me know whose discography I should take on in the next episode of Rank 'Em All. So thank you guys for watching, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Bye bye.